Hello and thank you for joining us today at Distracted by Life. Our podcast is all about making change within yourself and your relationships. We share conversations, stories, and explore ideas coming from our lifelong journey of the high points and especially the low points where we learn to face our fears or cope with pain, loss, and failure. We do this in a discovery quest to establish patterns around our past and understanding whether we are tripping up from our past or being held hostage by it. We work on identifying ways to move forward, aligning our core values, and unlocking the keys to self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-compassion, and letting go of what is not serving you positively in life. A better you is always there, ready to explore in a new world. So let's begin. Okay, so this episode is about getting to know Amal a little bit more. We've received quite a few inquiries via email and DMs, so I thought we'd take a minute out to have an open chat and see where we go from there. With that said, let's begin, shall we? Hi, Amal. Welcome.
Hi, Dan. It's good to be here.
That's great. So, okay, your journey began with blogging. What led you to start your first blog? What was inspiration?
Correct. I started with blogging, and the inspiration behind that is at the time when I started, which is about 40 years ago now, I was having some challenges in my professional career, and so I thought that the best way to express and have a voice is to blog about things, challenges in a professional setting, and just share my experience, and not just only as a voice but also share how I arrived at solutions, or share just tips and awareness. And more so, it was actually inspired by my role. So I work as an executive assistant, and I am an administrative professional. So in terms of that role, there is a lot of challenges and around the mentality and how the role perceived as an executive assistant, or in general as an administrative professional. And I wanted to bring awareness into this, the voice of an assistant, that a lot of the time the assistant is always working behind the scenes, moving things along and performing at a high level with with high executive level, or even in C-suite capacity. But people don't realize how much the executive assistant is capable of doing.
Kind of like the unsung hero of the office.
Yes. And so I chose blogging for the reasons that I wanted to have a voice to be heard, to be seen, to speak. And the next level of it is to also bring awareness, to help other administrative professionals out there who may have been going through some challenges, to let them know that they're not alone. And at the same time, I wanted to use my challenges, and if you want to call it challenges, yes, they are challenges, problems, my own problems, as solution for others. By sharing my experience, by sharing tips, by sharing insights, that would help other people. So that's how the inspiration behind the blogging started. It started mainly that way, and eventually over the years I just I start to write based on the inspiration and what's happening in the moment. So when something specifically takes place, or I observe something that I think it's really cool, that I write about and share, and I just pretty much talk about whatever inspire me. You can find inspiration pretty much anywhere.
But from colleagues as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that I know it led to you starting to write books and stuff, but you can tell everyone else, what led to that?
I did.
It was the next logical step from the blog, is what I'm saying. But what inspired you to say, I want to write about these things?
Well, when I started, I just started with the idea is someone as you're simply an average person who want to express and write about things and bring awareness and talk about topics that no one wants to talk about. So thought-provoking topics. It could be anything from a perspective as an administrative professional, watching two sides, from watching leaders leading teams and how they're performing and what's working, what's not working, to just as an administrative professional to be able to speak to my other colleagues and fellow administrative professional that they're not alone, share some ideas and things like that. So that's where it started, and that's where I thought it's going to end. But leading me into books, my first book was Executive Assistant Guide with Soul and Faith. It's a very interesting name, and I left it at that because every chapter or that was in that book does the meaning or the way it was written, it's really fall under the heart and soul of an individual, in this case myself, being in those different challenges. This is how I dealt with them. This is how I come from. I'm a person who is intense and deep emotion, and I like to be authentic. I don't pretend. And so a lot of my writing come from feelings and deepness of things, and how I deeply experience things. So in reality I didn't think about a book, but my husband surprised me and wanted to show that there is a potential that can go beyond just the blogging. And so he took a bunch of my blogs and turned them into chapters, put them together and created a book, and pretty much said to me, what do you want to call this book? So I called it the Executive Assistant Guide with Soul and Faith, because that's what it was. That's what it meant to me at the time anyway. All my writing, it had those feelings. And then what made it so special was the book that was put together. It was self-published. My husband helped me with it. Plus, he actually, all the art in each chapter was done by him. So that made it really, really special to my heart. And that kind of gave me that idea. Why not? Why the hell not? I could write books. And so it started that way. And that's where it went. It kind of led me to the next book, which is Love, Faith, and Mercy.
Well, that's good. Now, I think pretty much everybody knows by now that I'm the husband. So, yeah, you're welcome. From my standpoint, though, I saw the struggles and stuff you were going through. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these books were very cathartic for you. It was good to get all of that information out.
The first and the second book, the first one originally, because I was writing it from the heart completely. That's why it says the soul and the faith in it, right? Yep. And the second book, it's more on a personal level. It's my personal journey on self-discovery and learning from mistakes and letting things go and leaning into pain rather than numbing and running away from it. So it's a very, very personal story about my life and what got me to where I am today. And I shared it, and it's quite deep, and I share vulnerable experiences about my own life and childhood. Having the courage to do that and put it out there was a huge step for me.
I think that was very very good. The third book, which one's the third book?
The third book was more geared towards a business setting, which is still it was called the Executive Assistant Guide to Survival. So
that one became quite popular, I believe.
It definitely did. It actually sold quite well.
Yeah.
And I have to say it has been a success with this book quite a lot. And it is, again, real life, real stories, real lessons, right? So I'm sharing those to help other people. The whole intention is I get excited about finding out a solution to a problem. And if the problem is, let's say, or the challenge, obviously, from my own experience, or by observing and helping serving other leaders, I help them reach to solutions and creating this level of mindset of kind of growth and learning from your experience and not worrying about failing and all by trial and error. That was the intention, is to create every book, to create it in the sense that here's the challenge, here's how I dealt with it, or here's the outcome, and these are the tips, or this is what come up, this is the lesson learned. So bringing problems and challenges and deliver them as solution to help other people.
Now, in between the two books, The Executive Assistant and the one prior to that, you created amalcandido.com. So this is, my understanding, is a help, guide people as a life, leadership, spiritual mindfulness coach. This is branching out into coaching. So, what happened? What led you to start that journey?
Well, it has led me to coaching. It's the inspiration came. I realized that when I looked overall in the past few years, I realized that a lot on a personal level and a professional level, people come to me for advice and to open up and just to be like a sounding board. So I figured, okay, that's a really great skill set that I have. And then in a professional setting, I noticed that at one point majority of the direct report would come to me on how to approach the leader, how to present their ideas, how to get a yes versus a no, or at least let's talk about it, let's brainstorm. So the staff would come to me and ask me for all sorts of things and guidance and coaching and how they deal with things, or when the leader is not in the right mood, or is it the good time to have this discussion, and so on and so forth. So I found myself guiding these people, and I'm not even the leader itself. I had the leadership skills to do it, but not obviously the authority. And so, but I had a lot of influence. So I figured this is really good. Why don't I do this a lot more in a professional way in terms of coaching? So I signed up for a coaching certification. I completed it, became certified, and left it there. I haven't done really anything official with it after I got it. I just carried using it in, coaching people in the workplace. That's all I did. So I was doing it for free. I haven't actually did that. So after a while, I realized I should really scale this quite big. And that's when I went ahead and created the website at that point. So we got the website created, made sure exactly where my niche is, which is my strongest point, life, leadership, and spiritual. And never looked back since then. That's how I wanted to scale it, because it felt good serving people and seeing progress.
Your niche goes a little bit deeper, though. You're looking at new professionals?
Yes, my niche is to help my audience, and my niche is to help people in individuals, administrative professionals, young professionals, or even new emerging leaders who want to step in leadership roles in their community and businesses. and want to advance their career. So what I do is I work with them on the leadership skills aspect. We don't sit and let's talk about how we can create an action plan or strategy plan business-wise. I leave that for them to do in the workplace. What I work on with individuals and with professional is pretty much the foundation, what I call the basement, your baseline, building your baseline in terms of growing your leadership skills and working with the mind.
You've, since the website, you've started a new podcast with a very interesting name, Distracted by Life. Can you give us a bit of a background on choosing that name? And obviously, what do you hope to accomplish now with the podcast?
Well, we had a long list of names for podcasts, and we were going back and forth on it. And Distracted by Life made quite more sense to me because isn't it the truth is that we are so distracted by life because we are going about just living life every day. And when we do this, we are not in a mindful state. We don't live mindfully in the present moment. And we get distracted by everything in life, by the grocery shopping list, by getting the laundry done, running errands, working long hours, and so on and so forth. All of those...
So we kind of lose sight of our goals.
Yes. Believe it or not, they are things that we need to do, yes, but they are the very same things that distract us in life because we lose sight of the big picture. We lose sight of the goals. We lose sight of what's our purpose, our passion, our hobby. We lose sight of living in the moment where we end up landing at high anxiety, chaotic, disorganized life, clutter mind, and we don't live mindfully. And the whole thing about the Distracted by Life name came from that. And the idea is to explore pretty much your everyday distracted things that keep us distracted and talk about those and bringing awareness and light into these topics or areas of life. Hoping that, again, it's our problem or challenges we're offering solution to someone out there. It might not be the same exact scenario, but it's very similar. And awareness is about advocacy and support and information. You're putting information out there for the taking. It's going to resonate with some people, and some people it won't resonate with them. It depends on where you are as an individual in life, where you would actually find the benefit in our podcast.
And thank you all very much for joining us here at Distracted by Life. I rather enjoyed this episode. I even get to learn new things about Amal that I didn't know before, which is always a good thing. If you're interested in learning more, check out Amal's website at amalcandido.com, where she talks about her coaching world with links to other podcasts and her books as well. And with that said, thanks, Amal.
Thank you. It was good to be here.
Stay tuned for our next episode from Amal and myself, and talk to you soon.